One oddly silent night I was hanging out with a group of my friends in northwest Michigan. We usually hang out every weekend and do things that get the adrenaline pumping. Everything from launching fireworks at personal property to invading so-called haunted graveyards at midnight with only the light of the full moon. My friends and I are an odd bunch of kids, or so I've been told, who have been best friends since back in the good old days of elementary school. That night bonded us through fear and horror of what all but one of us experienced. We live in the small county of Gulfstream, which is flat farmland with some swamp-like areas. We were cruising along the road when we pulled into the parking lot of a church undergoing construction. There were traffic cones signaling the area as undergoing work that we decided to take just for the hell of it. My friend Alex took 5 in his car and I took 5 in mine. Our plan was to go just outside the county where it was desolate and mess with traffic with the cones we had acquired. On the drive there, we noticed that all the cows in one pen were huddled in the corner as if hiding from something, but we thought nothing of it. Upon reaching our destination, we heard a far-off howl, but because we were the adventurous types, we shrugged it off, thinking it was just a common timber wolf. How wrong we were. The fog was very thick at this time of night, around midnight I would say, and drivers would only be able to see a few feet in front of them and would not be able to avoid any cones out in the road. What a terribly clever idea, I thought to myself as I sat a few in the road about 15 yards from each other. After the very second that I had set the last cone down, we heard the howling again, but this time it received our full attention. This was mainly because it seemed a lot closer this time. My friend Cody kept insisting that we should leave and that it would be in our best interest to not to have to deal with whatever was howling. But our attention was drawn away from the howling as we heard a car approach the area of road with the traffic cones. After a few seconds of listening, we heard the car come to a screeching halt as it hit a cone. Knowing that we were in big trouble, we ran farther into this swampy section of land. We heard footsteps on the round and the rough sound of an older gentleman saying, "Goddamn kids!" That's when it got bad. We knew the old man had left, but we could continue to hear footsteps. These were much heavier and behind us. Cody said to make a run for it, but I must have confused run to the car with find a new hiding spot, as all of my friends except for a boy named Mike took a right. I took a left. I came out to the edge of a murky pond where I could hear something large splashing the water out just beyond the visibility levels of the fog. At this point, I had no doubt that I was dealing with the Dogman of Michigan, and I was trembling as though I was in an earthquake. Mike and I had curiosity get the best of us, and we leaned forward a bit to have a look. The dim outline of an extremely large man came into view, but this was no man. The yellow eyes were staring me down as I examined the rest of it. I heard a small yelp, and Mike made a run for it. I stood still, frozen with fear. The beast was extremely hairy, with a snout and fangs large enough to bite clean through any man my size. I was fairly skinny and just over 6 feet tall. The one thing that really hooked me was that it was a bipedal animal standing on 2 feet. The beast's yellow eyes continued to stare me down, and I noticed that it began to move in my direction. I then heard yells of my name. "Ryan!" I heard, "Ryan, hurry to the car!" I was relieved that my friends had not left without me, but more alarmed at the beast slowly making its way towards me. I ran like an Olympic sprinter towards the sound of the voices, and I could hear the large splash of the beast exiting the water in my direction. I reached my car, and everyone was relieved to see me in one piece. We jumped into the car, and I gunned it down the road. And just as we got moving, the 7-foot monster got to the side of the road and clawed my car. Then it let out the most blood-curdling howl I can never forget. The worst part was that I heard a return howl in the direction I was heading. Alex's car was in front of me, and I saw it stop and drift around into the opposite direction of me, and I did the same when I saw a similar beast ahead of me. As we drove past the spot where the first one clawed my car, I saw the beast standing, just watching as we passed by. It's been 4 years since we encountered this thing, and I've not gone through one whole night without having a nightmare about the events that took place that day. We joke about it occasionally, but we mainly keep our thoughts to ourselves. Since that first encounter, I've heard that howl many a time, and now I know what lies in the woods of Michigan, in Gulfstream County.